Hello, I'm Mrs. Edwards, and today we are going to synthetically divide some polynomials. This is a shortcut when you are dividing by x minus k. So keep in mind this is only going to work when you're dividing by something linear. We have x to the first power, and that we have 1x minus a number. When we do synthetically divide, though, it's going to amount to drop it down, multiply across, add diagonal, drop it down, and start again. All right, let's check it out. In the last lesson, we would have long divided to find our answer. This time, we're going to use synthetic division because we are dividing by something in the form x minus k. The first thing that you want to do is identify all of the coefficients and make sure you've identified the coefficients even on the missing terms. All right, so there's a 1, x to the third power. I'm going to move that over just a bit because we're missing the x to the second power term. So I'm going to slide that one in there, 0x squared, and then we have minus 13x plus 12. All of those numbers in red, those are our coefficients. We're dividing by x minus 1, but we're using synthetic division because this is in the form x minus k. So what is the k? What number would you put there so you would get back x minus 1? So the k ends up being 1. The common mistake is to think when you're dividing by x minus 1 to use the number negative 1. But it's always the opposite of that number there. So notice if I work backwards, if I substitute 1, I have x minus 1 and we're right back here. Okay, so I've identified k. Now we're ready to set up the division. So you're going to put in some lines like that. Then the k value goes there in the bottom left-hand corner. The coefficients on that polynomial f of x go across the top. And then you're going to also put in a little dashed line there before the last number. We'll talk about the meaning of that dashed line here in just a minute. But we have it all set up, ready to start dividing. So that means we're ready to drop it down, multiply across, add diagonal, drop that answer down. Okay, so we're going to go through that process. So this one right here, we're going to start by dropping it down, multiply across. So 1 times 1 is 1. Add diagonal, so we're going to add 0. So 1 times 1 is 1. 1 plus 0 is 1. Drop that answer down. Okay, then we're going to just start again. So multiply across. 1 times 1 is 1. Add diagonal. We're going to add that negative 13. So 1 times 1 is 1, plus a negative 13 is negative 12. Drop that answer down. Okay, and we start again. Multiply across. So 1 times negative 12, which is negative 12. Add diagonal. Okay, so one more time. 1 times negative 12 is negative 12, plus 12 is 0. Drop that answer down. Now we have finished the synthetic division, but we have to understand the meaning of these numbers that we just found. So I'm going to set it up as if we were going to long divide, which you would not do for synthetic division. I just want to help you understand what these blue numbers mean. So if I set up the division, I would have had f of x right there, and I'm dividing by x minus 1. Now, if you started to divide, if you divided a x to the third by an x to the first, then you know that your answer is going to be x to the second power as your first term. Okay, so you have to know that when you do this division, a cubic divided by something linear, that our first term is x squared. Now those blue numbers come into play. that 1 right there, that is the leading coefficient on your answer. So we have 1x squared, then we're going to have 1x, and that's because this 1 is the next, minus 12. Okay, so we have 1x squared plus 1x minus 12, and in this instance, our remainder is 0. So what comes after that little dashed line we put in, that is our remainder. So the answer to this division problem, f of x divided by x minus 1, is x squared plus x minus 12. We're going to do just one more example to make sure you have this down, but if you want, maybe pause it, see if you can do this one by yourself, and then check it. But here we go. Let's set up the division problem. I'm going to clear out some space. We need to put in those missing terms. We do not have an x to the 4th, and we do not have an x to the 2nd. Okay, so I'm popping those in there. I also want to highlight those leading coefficients. And then let's figure out what is the k value. So if x plus 2 needs to be coming from the form x minus k, that means that the k value is negative 2. It's always going to be the opposite of what that number is. If I did work backwards and I replace that k with negative 2, x minus a negative 2 brings me right back there. Okay, so that's why k is the opposite. Another quick reminder is you can only use synthetic division if what you're dividing by is linear and in the form x minus k. All right, so here we go, setting up the division. Let's put the k value in that bottom left corner. I'm putting in the leading coefficients of f of x there across the top. And then we're ready to drop it down, multiply across, add diagonal, bring that answer down, repeat. Okay, so I don't have the arrows coming in this time, but we're going to just drop that. I'm going to put in first the little dashed line so we can have that remainder over there off to the side. Dropping the 8 down. Now I'm going to multiply across. So negative 2 times 8 is negative 16 plus 0, which is negative 16, and drop that answer down. So we have negative 16 there. We're going to repeat. So multiply across, so negative 2 times negative 16, that is 32. And then add diagonal. So we're going to take the 32 and add it to negative 6, and we get 26. So 26, drop that answer down. Multiply across. Negative 2 times 26 is negative 52. Add diagonal, so add 0, and we have negative 52, so we drop that answer down. Repeat. Multiply across, so negative 2 multiplied by negative 52 is 104. Add diagonal, so we have 104 plus 1, which is 105. Drop that answer down. So we've got our 105. Okay, lastly, repeat, multiply across. So negative 2 times 105 is negative 210. Add diagonal, so negative 210 plus negative 8 is negative 218. Drop that answer down. So notice this time we do have a remainder. So let's think about what is our final answer for dividing this f of x by x plus 2. We know that we're going to have x to the 4th, because keep in mind x to the 5th divided by x to the 1st is going to be x to the 4th. So I'm just putting in the x's. Now this 8 is the leading coefficient. Then we have negative 16, then we have 26, then we have negative 52. The plus 105 is what we have without any x's, and then this negative 218, that's our remainder. Okay, so I'm putting in those coefficients. And then we have our remainder. And when you divide, your remainder goes over what you were dividing by. So we have minus 218 over x plus 2. All right, go out there, synthetically divide, drop it down, multiply across, add diagonal, bring that answer down. Good luck.